Time change, the one in the fall, is so much easier to deal with, isn't it? It's the springing forward that gets us. We are so excited to see March off to such a rip-roaring start around here. On Wednesday, March 1st, we were blessed to have Jeff bring in Mike Tamburo, who did oh my gosh, how many of you were here for that? The gong presentation? That was absolutely phenomenal. It was a Wednesday evening. We had, I believe, a packed house. And I know there were some people that came in from other avenues that you're associated with. But what a great event that was. And then Friday, we had the Rainbow Path concert with Blake. How many were here for that? Oh my goodness. Talk about some yummy stuff. And you know, we had told you that Blake was footing the bill for the expenses associated with that show and that 100% of the proceeds from that would go to the church. Take a wild guess on how much we made off of that concert Friday night. We made, okay, that's a little, yeah, okay. But we did really well. We made $34.50. Yeah, so with that and the proceeds of Mike's event on Wednesday, we are just off to such a good start for March. Yay! Thank you so much for participating and for being here and answering the call when we have these events. We do them for you, and so we're so grateful that you show up for them. It's a little on the rainy side this morning, but that's a good thing for everyone that's suffering from allergies. As I wipe my eyes, I say. Hopefully it'll tamp down some of those allergens in the air. Let's take a moment to just breathe consciously. I know you're already breathing, but breathing consciously. Bringing all of our awareness and our attention to right here, right now. And our daily word this morning says, I welcome the light. That's the affirmation. If you'd like to say it with me, I welcome the light. So what does that mean? Well, taking a moment to appreciate the beauty of a sunset, I realize that in another part of the world, the first rays of a rising sun are bringing light to a morning sky. Whether I can see it or not, the sun never stops shining. Somewhere, a new day is dawning. Much more brilliantly than the sun, the light of God, too, is always shining. Sometimes my thoughts may be focused on a challenging life situation that I do not sense this divine light right this moment. Then, in a flash of insight, I experience again the illuminating presence that even in my darkest moments, it's as near as my next thought. I affirm, let there be light. I breathe out frustration and worry. Breathing in, I am filled with the light of truth that illuminates my mind and shines from within my heart. Isn't that good? And Genesis 1:3 said, then God said, let there be light, and there was light. So take a nice deep breath of that illuminating light of spirit.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? Looking good today. Let's all stand together. Why don't you take a moment to greet someone and welcome them. Tell them that you're happy that they are here. We're so glad to be together in unity. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad to be together in unity. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're here. Come on in as we gather for a while. Let's give a hug and share a smile. Come on in and and meet a friend and be accepted as you are. Oh, we're so glad to be together in unity. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad to be together in unity. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're here. Oh, we're so glad to be together in, where are we? Unity. All right, tell somebody, say welcome. And you may be seated. All right. We'd like to invite all the children to come up front at this time. Yeah. Yeah. God is, and I am. I create, and I pray, and I act on the truth that I know. God is, and I am. I create, and I pray, and I act on the truth that I know. There is only one God. There is only one love. All right. Beautiful.
You guys look so lovely this morning. Well, this is a little strange, but yeah, I get it. I get it.
What are we going to do?
I suppose we're going to send them off to their class with a blessing, aren't we?
Let's do it then.
Okay, let's.
I was just waiting to see what you were going to do there.
I wasn't going to do anything.
We love you. We bless you. We behold the Christ in you. We appreciate you. And we bless your teachers too. So it is, and so shall it be.
So my question is, how many of you wake up on any given day and feel like that? You just want to zip up and just disappear and just. So when I look at them, it's like, yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, some days are just like that. Well, this takes a little getting used to.
What's that? Sitting next to me?
No.
Oh.
Being on this side, it's a little.
I thought you were used to that by now.
Disrupts my rhythm or something. How is everyone this morning? Good. No, I love sitting next to you. Why would you even say that?
Okay, just checking.
I love you.
I just want to, what is that old song that says, I just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What condition my condition was in.
There you go. So who's going to deal with the Goliath? Who wants to deal with Goliath? Any takers?
Who wants to deal with him?
Yeah.
I don't see any hands. I don't see anybody wanting to deal with Goliath. You go first.
And that is the problem.
You do it first.
Emmett Fox, renowned New Thought author, said, "What you think upon grows." Think about that. It grows. Whatever you allow to occupy your mind, you magnify in your life. Whether the subject of your thought be good or bad, the law works and the condition grows. Any subject that you keep out of your mind tends to diminish in your life. Did you hear that? Any subject that you keep out of your mind, not in your mind, but out of your mind, tends to diminish in your life because what you do not use atrophies. Isn't that the truth? Think about muscles, right? If you don't use them, you start to get weak. The more you think of grievances, the more such trials you will continue to receive. Say with me, aha! Oh, there you go. The more you think of the good fortune you have had, the more good fortune will come to you. Seems pretty straightforward, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody understand that?
Yeah. Intellectually, yes.
Ah, gotcha. Well, here's another thing he said. Whenever you are afraid of something, you are worshiping it. Whatever you fear, you bow down to and give it power. Maybe this guy knew something. What do you think? So today we want to talk to you about getting to the root of the bigger issues in your life, the Goliath in your life. So, Leah, you want to read the story
so the
for
biblical account of David and Goliath is one of the most popular stories in the scripture from the Old Testament. And it's a lesson of courage, faith, and overcoming what seems impossible. So David was the youngest of 12 sons, and he was a herder of sheep, and he was a very small individual. And one day, the nation of Israel had to fight the Philistine army that had gathered for war. And David's brothers went to fight, but he stayed back because he was too young. And the two armies gathered to stand on opposite sides of this deep valley. And every day, this huge giant Philistine named Goliath would come, and he stood over 9 feet tall. He was really big. He would come to the front of the Philistine battle each day and he would call out, who will come and fight me? Who will come and, take me on?
For 40 days.
For 40 days
Which
he
is
did
significant.
this. For 40 days he did this. He mocked the Israelites, he mocked their beliefs, and he called out to them for a fight. But King Saul and the Israelites were scared. They were scared of this guy. They didn't want to do anything. They didn't know what to do with him. And so David was sent by his father to take food and to get an update on what was going on from his brothers. So he went to the front lines to bring back that news about what was going on. And he heard Goliath mocking Israel and mocking their God and their beliefs. And he said, this little young thing said, I will fight him. And of course his brothers and everyone laughed at him. And he finally persuaded King Saul to let him go and take on Goliath. And Saul had said, well, if you're going to go, at least put on my armor. Nope, he didn't want to do that. He said, all I want is I've got my slingshot. I'm going to get 5 smooth stones and I'll take him on. So imagine this great big 9-foot giant. He's taunting everyone, and out comes this little skinny kid. And he's going to take him on. So Goliath just laughed at David. He had a sword and a spear, right? He has armor, probably. David has nothing but this slingshot and these 5 smooth stones.
Because the armor didn't fit.
Because the armor didn't fit. He was too small. David loads a stone into his slingshot, slings it around, swings it. One of the rocks flies out, hits Goliath's head, and where do you think it went? Right in the middle of his forehead.
Between the eyes.
Right between the eyes. And he fell, and probably the earth shook with a 9-foot. Right? And so then David picked up Goliath's sword, and he used it to kill Goliath, and then, not only stopping there, but to cut off his head. I know, but see, that's symbolic. It was a very old and violent ritual symbolizing the removal, what's up here? The mind cutting off the old mindset?
Because it takes about 40 days to change a habit, to transform your life. It takes about 40 days, approximately. Psychologists agree to this. It's been studied, and right around 30, 40, sometimes 50 days, but 40 is kind of the average. So whenever you see the idea of 40 in the scriptures, you understand that it is a metaphorical truth telling you that there was some kind of transformation that was taking place. Noah and the ark happened for 40 days. There was a transformation of the world. Jesus was fasting for 40 days. He was going through a process of transformation. Goliath, for 40 days, he was taunting the people of Israel. He was taunting King Saul, and he was, projecting to him all of this stuff, this fear. And so you see that what it's really talking about is a mindset. It's talking about a way of thinking. That's what it's really about. Because we know that the divine is a higher mind, okay? That's one of the ways we can see God is a higher mind, a higher intelligence that sees things from a deeper, higher, greater awareness and understanding. Okay? And so today we're going to talk to you about how to create your own slingshot so that you can deal with the Goliath in your life. Right. Now, the 5 smooth stones represent your 5 senses that are attuned and totally, completely present with life. Aware, say it with me, awareness. So you take rough rocks and you put them in a river stream or a waterfall, and the water will eventually smooth them out. How many understand that if you continue on your spiritual journey, that you will begin to smooth out, and the rough edges will begin to be, smooth away after a while, and you'll become a little more smooth. Let's say together, I'm smooth. Don't you love being smooth? Yeah.
So how do these big things in our mind get to be so big? Where did Goliath come from? What did you read by Emmett Fox? The things that we're giving our attention to are growing. We're growing these Goliaths, these giant thought forms in our mind through our thinking. So Goliath, metaphysically, is that biggest idea of the mind, the strongest belief that you have about something. And 9, remember he's 9 feet tall, 9 is the number of fullness.
Any women here ever been pregnant? 9 months?
9 months, yeah.
You understand?
Yeah. So the idea of 9 being a full-grown thought form. It's fully grown. It's kind of taken on a life of its own. It's left the womb and it's taken on a life of its own, right?
That's right.
So what is a thought form?
What is a thought form? Well, you create them.
Yeah.
How many understand that we all create, creatively we use energy, and we create our lives with the energy that we have. Whatever energy is in your life, you use that to create with. Okay? So Ephesians 6:12 says, and this is the key, for we do not struggle against flesh and blood or against a physical opponent. See, you're not my problem.
Right.
Say it with me. You're not my problem.
You're not my problem.
Okay? But against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this current mindset of darkness. The word darkness we could substitute to the word ignorance. Ignorance. And you think about the word ignorance. Ignore. We're ignoring something. Sometimes purposefully, sometimes unconsciously. We're ignoring the light. We're ignoring what we need to do in our lives in order to make the changes that we desire. Make sense? And it says we also are wrestling against spiritual or religious forces of wickedness in high places. I have met a lot of people who have been traumatized by religion because religion was used to beat them up and hold them down and keep them, into a certain mindset, And it's all about fear. And so these are the high places when we use spirituality to bind someone, to throw a net over somebody and capture their attention and hold them in place so that they can't grow, they can't change. I've met many people over the years and I say, hey, how have you grown? How have you changed? They say, well, I'm the same person I always was. And I think to myself, well, that's too bad.
Sorry. Yeah.
Right? So there's another story in the Bible that kind of reveals some of this. You want to talk about it?
Sure. The madman of the tombs. Maybe some of you are not familiar with that story. But there's a madman of the tombs who used to run around spouting hateful, self-criticizing words and phrases and so forth. And anyway, so the point being, what made him mad? Constantly running around in a graveyard. He was cutting himself, it says, committing self-harm, which is a sign that a thought form of self-loathing and self-hatred had taken over his mental state. And this is what can happen when thoughts become too much to deal with and a person is overwhelmed by them. We wind up engaging in self-harm. And that may not necessarily be cutting ourselves, but there are lots of ways that we...
But cutting yourself is definitely a
Yes,
sign
there are lots
that
of...
you are overwhelmed by a thought form, a mental idea, a mental obsession that is possessing your mind. And in that state, you feel like you're stuck, you're frozen. And that's what this guy was. He was basically insane at that point. And these kinds of thoughts drive people crazy.
Yeah.
They drive people insane. And they're self-generated, unconsciously and consciously. How many understand that it's important to understand these things for your own well-being?
Yeah.
Because when you understand how it works, then you know what to do. You know how to fix it. You know how to change it. You know how to transform your life.
Because the answer is not in self-medicating, because if you self-medicate to get those thought forms to dissipate, they only come back when the medication stops, right? So oftentimes we get
Chocolate cake.
We get into harmful behaviors or
I brought it up this time.
self-medicating in some way to end that, and all we do is just delay it. We mask it over and we delay it, and at some point it rears back up.
Yeah.
The Goliath appears again.
Yeah. Because we haven't
The madman appears
dealt
again.
with it. And so we're going to talk about the key to dealing with it, okay?
Yeah.
So when the master teacher, Jesus, asked him who he was, you can learn a lot by asking people who they are. They will tell you who they are. And he spoke and he said, we are legion, for we are many. A legion is 500. So you think about that. That's a lot of overwhelming thought forms in a person's mind. Spiritual energies that are in control of his thinking. It was called possession. How many has ever heard of that? Have you ever met somebody possessed? There's good possession, there's bad possession. Depends on what you're possessed with.
Have you ever been possessed by chocolate cake?
Well, there you go. So how did Jesus deal with these so-called spirits, these spiritual energies? How did he deal with it? Well, as a prophet and a healer, Jesus understood the workings of the mind and the spirit. and was able to reset the man to original function. He did a reset. And then the man was able to change his focus and thus heal himself. How many know that you heal yourself? You heal yourself because the power is in you. Now, someone can offer you a way, can offer you healing energies, but it's still always up to you to receive it, to believe it. There were some places that Jesus went into, this amazing healer, and he couldn't do any kind of spiritual work because of their unbelief and their doubt and their fears. Right? Mm-hmm. And so, would you like a reset today? So maybe by the end of the service, you'll be reset. But then it's up to you. Yeah. Okay? Then it's up to you. So, Jesus redirected, and as the story goes, the negative energy into the pigs. Now you say, well, why pigs? Well, pigs were not allowed by Jewish law. Yeah. They didn't eat ham. And they had no way to deal with, what is that, trichinosis? Yeah. Yeah, they had no way to deal with that. Yeah. And so the pigs went crazy and they ran over the cliff and they drowned. Symbolically, they destroyed themselves. You see, a lot of people, when they look at the Bible, say, oh, it's so violent, I can't read that. Well, you probably watched the Game of Thrones, right? So anyway, be that as it may, it's the idea that it's all symbolic. Yeah. It's not literal, okay? Because we all have giants in our lives. We all have a process, 40 days, transformation that we need to get through, that we need to go through. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So the word demon in the Bible, say it with me, ooh, ah, oh. People are afraid of demons. Well, it's probably because you got some. No. The word demon simply just means intelligences. Intelligences. Thought forms. Ways of thinking. Yeah. Binding mental processes. To be demonized is to be under the spell of a negative thought form. Say with me, hello. All right? Yeah. Whatever you obsess on constantly in your life, and your mind begins to grow and can take on a life of its own after a while. Yeah, it can. See, because we create this with our own thinking and our feelings and our beliefs. The most powerful day in your life is when you take back the right and the authority to choose your own beliefs. That's the best day in your life, because that's when everything begins to change. When you are self-empowered and you say, okay, it's my responsibility, and I take that responsibility, and I'm glad to be responsible for my life, because I'm not going to let you do it. Not it. No. It doesn't matter what you say about me. It only matters what I say about me. Right? So what do I say about me? I say I am strong. I say I am brilliant. I say I am, blessed and prosperous. I'm happy. I'm whole. I'm well. I'm divinely guided. I'm divinely appointed. I'm here on purpose. Mm-hmm. Right? And I have divine authority over spiritual and physical realms. Mm-hmm. Say it with me. Oh, yeah, that feels good, doesn't it?
And as Blake presented Friday night in that wonderful rainbow path, all about the unity, 12 powers, we have all of these beautiful innate powers that we can call on. So March is the month of wisdom. Right. I call on my inner wisdom. Through wisdom, I know what to do and when to do it. I know what to let go of. I know what Goliaths to slay. Then there's the will. You identify them, but then you got to have the will to stand firm and do the work. I call forth my power of will to stand in power. That's another beautiful dominion over these things in my life. We can activate and call forward all these beautiful innate powers that we have. We need to use them.
Yeah, and here's how I like to deal with will. Your will is my will. My will is your will. We are one. Talk about the divine mind. Because you can't align with a higher, greater, better force of will. If it is the will of God or the desire that comes out of that divine connection, that divine communion, then it cannot be stopped. It is so powerful. It's when we try ourselves. We get up one day and we say, you know what? I think I'm going to go on a diet, Leah. I'm going to lose 50 pounds.
I've heard that.
And yes, you have. And the person, the thought form that arose there had no strength. It had no power. And if I don't nurture it, if I don't strengthen it, if I don't affirm it, if I don't really believe my way into it, what happens? Well, about 4 o'clock, I get hungry. Well,
you got it, chocolate cake.
And so it's like, well, I think I'm going to start tomorrow. Tomorrow's really a better day.
Today wasn't a good day.
Today wasn't a good day. And what am I doing at that point? I'm giving in to that Goliath. I'm giving in to that thought form that says you can't do it. You can't change. You don't have any power. Well, who are you to think that you have any power? You know that little voice in your head. Don't you have that? Maybe I'm the only one.
Oh, no, I have it.
Oh, okay. All right, good.
Maybe they don't, but we have it. Maybe there's something about us hanging out together that we
I don't know.
I don't know.
Might have to think about that.
Oh.
So remember, you created it so you can disassemble it.
Yes.
Disassemble it. Dissolve it. Let's say together, I dissolve the Goliath. Now. So how do we do that?
I just had a funny, I'm smiling because I just had a funny picture in my mind of the story of Frankenstein, where he's standing there going, give my creature life. And that's what we do with these Goliaths and these, Frankensteins. We're like, I give this thing life. And now we got to disassemble it. All right, let's shut off the power, turn everything down.
Maybe I should have created that. I don't know.
I changed my mind.
But
Let's get rid of this thing.
One of the things that we don't realize is everything you see, everything you hear that goes into your eye gate or your ear gate, that goes into your mental gate, is affecting you on some level. Okay? So it's important to be aware of what you're watching with your eyes, what you're listening to with your ears, what you're contemplating on the inside. See, this all gets back to self-awareness. You need to be aware of where you are in every moment. You say, James, that sounds hard. It is at first. But after you do it for a while, it's wonderful. Because you begin to see, this is a pattern. I've done this before. Yeah. I've acted this way before. Have you ever caught yourself in the middle of an argument with your significant other and you're saying exactly the same things you've said before, acting in the same way you've acted before, and they're reacting in the same way that they've reacted before? It's a react, a reaction. I've done this before. Isn't that interesting? It's a pattern. It's not even a genuine authenticity. It's something created in the mind to be just a habit pattern. You know, you say this, I'm going to say that, then this is going to happen, we're going to get mad, and then we're going to make up, but yet we're going to write that thing down. Because we're keeping a list.
Bring it out again at some point.
That way we can bring it out the next time that we have another. You see how this works? You know, and if you observe and pay attention and notice yourself, watch the words coming out of your mouth. Sometimes I hear myself say something, I say, I can't believe I just said that. Why did I say that? And I love the word wait. W-A-I-T. Why am I talking? Why am I talking right now? Is it going to help anything? Is it going to be good?
So at some point you have to be the director in this drama and yell cut and snap the clapboard and go, okay, this cut.
This
let's do something
scene
different.
is not working.
Wait. Right? Yeah. You have to take control. So where do all of these ideas, right, and these thought forms and
how do they originate?
Yeah, where do they originate from? How do we get a hold of these things? Where did they come from? Well, one of the first places that they come from is from your childhood. Oh, how many of you can right now think of something that you were told as a child that slips out now and then, right, that you know is a thought form that does not serve you? Money doesn't grow on trees, right? You got to work hard to get ahead in life. There's all kinds of things. Or you're stupid. We were told a lot of things when we were kids, and if we weren't told verbally, we were told in other unconscious avenues, other ways. We get these messages. And what this does is it winds up binding us to really unhealthy lifestyles. Remember we talked about earlier engaging in self-harm or things that sabotage our success, things that harm our physical body, things that harm our mental body. This is what happens because of these messages that we got as children. So the thing about what we hear as children is that you can't believe it. Right? You were told things by imperfect people who did not know you and did not tell you the truth.
Don't believe everything people tell you.
That's right. Don't believe the things that people tell you. Not everything. Test it against, what is the truth of my being? You know, what does God say about me? What is the true nature of my being? Stupidity doesn't line up with that. Worthlessness doesn't line up with that.
Because God doesn't make any junk.
Poverty doesn't line up with that.
Right.
Right? So that's one of the first places that it comes. These thought forms come from our childhood.
And you think, well, you know, I was just a little child. My head was just mush. You know, I didn't know anything. And so people started programming me, you know. And that's what it is. It's a programming because that's what we do. You know, we continue to reaffirm what we really think. We reaffirm what we believe. And we make that reality. We make that what it is. Even without realizing that each and every one of us have unlimited potential. And we can go this way, we can go that way, we can go that way, we can go that. We can do whatever that we need to do in our lives because the power is in me. If you don't ever get anything out of unity except this one thing, remember, the power is in you. It's your choice. So today I select this avatar that I'm going to play my game with. This game of life, that I'm going to, you know, hurdle over obstacles and run through troops and leap over walls. And you see what I'm saying? That is what I believe in. That's what I believe about myself. But I have to keep telling myself that. Every time you affirm something, every time you say something, you're talking to yourself. Even if I'm talking to somebody else, I'm really talking to me. And I'm hypnotizing myself. I'm mesmerizing myself. All right? And so what do you tell yourself? What are you saying? Why am I talking?
You know, an important thing to remember about those messages that we received as children is not to hold a lot of anger and bitterness over the people who told us those things. It's to recognize that we all have our own set curriculum to deal with in this life, and they were just installing curriculum perhaps for us to work with.
Because that's what was done to them.
Right. It does us no good to hold on to any kinds of ill feelings, bitterness, and all that about people who told us the wrong things.
Yeah.
We just have to take that power and overcome those things.
Because they were, people are at the level that they are.
If they knew to do
Right.
better, they would have done better.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So there are ruling thought patterns that keep you in the dark. Isn't it interesting how that we are all blind to our own shadow? I can't see my stuff. I can see yours really well. Oh, goodness. If you really want to know what your shadow looks like and you're in a relationship, ask them. Now you got to be brave.
Don't ask unless you really want to know.
But at the same time, you also have to understand they're coming from their perspective, right? Their perspective. So take that into account. But ruling thought patterns can keep you in the dark in a state of unconsciousness. And as long as you're unconscious, then that ruling thought can control your life. Isn't it interesting how that we are all so much into control? Hi, I'm James King. I'm a control freak. Thank you. And today I'm going to share with you how control freaky I really was. Right?
Yeah.
So we are. We want to have control. We want to be able to control everything because we don't want what? Surprises. But let me tell you something about surprises. They can be kind of good. Yeah, because that's where the gifts show up. That's where the beauty of a sunrise that you weren't expecting. The gift of somebody that comes into your life in a moment and they share with you and they are, exactly what you need in that moment in time. Right? That's a gift. We miss all the gifts because we're trying to control everything. Because we're so afraid to let go. To let go. We're afraid to let go. These ruling thought patterns keeps us in the dark. And then, of course, religious arrogance and bigotry that claims superiority, that we are better than another. You know that church down the street? They're a cult, but we're not. This is spiritual wickedness. Okay? Superiority is the biggest trap in spirituality that you will ever face. Okay? I've met many, gurus and teachers over the years. And I've met some who were enlightened, and I just wanted to sit at their feet and just, wow. And then I've met some that, I was disappointed because they were so petty, They didn't have their squeezed orange juice before they spoke. And that was so important. If I don't have my orange juice, I won't be able to speak. And then as soon as everything's done, they're out of there, and they don't want to talk to anybody. And I know that sometimes there are reasons why and so forth, but you have to be careful, this attitude of superiority. In unity, we don't claim to be better than anybody else. Each one of us, in one sense, we're stumbling toward the light. We're making our way. We're learning. We're growing. We're transforming. A little bit at a time sometimes. But that's okay, isn't it? Isn't that okay? Isn't it better to proceed slowly than to, I had a gentleman tell me one time, he told me, he said, James, he said, I want it all and I want it now. He said, I want it all. And he said, I'm in a hurry.
Don't we all?
I'm in a hurry here. And he wasn't. He died a year later, of a heart attack because he was pushing himself so hard in life in general, So sometimes it's just a peaceful, making peace with the isness where you're at right now. Say it with me. It's all okay.
It's all okay.
Right now. But you don't understand, James. There's people in my life that are bugging me. Okay. Of course. And this shall always be. Hear ye, hear ye. The prophet has spoken. This shall always be. There will always be people in your life until every button that you have that can be pushed will be pushed until it can no longer be pushed. Yeah. And it's amazing how many times I've seen that when my attitude changed, you changed. Right?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
So I'm thinking that one of the ways that we can deal with these Goliaths is A Course in Miracles has this beautiful statement that everything stems from either love or fear. And so when we have these thoughts, when we have these belief systems, we measure them with that in mind. Is this thought form, is this belief system coming from love? Does it continue to carry out love? Does it feel loving, talk loving, hear, the five senses, those five stones? Is it love-based? Is it producing more love? Or is it fear? I'm fearful of losing something when it's control. I'm fearful of, not being able to be safe, whatever those fears are. And is it producing more fear? Is it producing circumstances where I'm putting people outside of myself? So that's how you can kind of test if a thought form needs to be released. It needs to be let go of. What's it producing? What's it grounded in? Is it love or is it fear?
Yeah. There's a love or fear. I mean, that's the only two motivations that we have. We either do things because we love doing it, we enjoy it, or, that we're afraid if we don't do it. So here's the key point. Okay, here's the revelation we want you to take with you. If you stop feeding the giant with your fearful attention, it will begin to dissolve. Mm-hmm. In other words, you withdraw your attention. You stop talking about how that, I'm just not that kind of person. I'm just not the kind of person I'm just a fearful person. You pull your attention, you take your energy out of that and you say to yourself, no, wait a minute. I am love. How many understand that you don't have a soul? You don't have a soul. So James, wait a minute, you just lost me there. You are a soul. Let's say it together. I am a soul.
I am a soul.
You see the difference? So it's the I amness that we're talking about. What are you saying? Listen to yourself. I am okay. I am okay. No matter what, I'm always okay. No matter what. how tough it gets, how hard it gets, because sometimes it gets tough,
Yep.
doesn't it? Those thought forms are just creeping in there and just pushing against us. I'm always going to be okay. And then if you keep nurturing that, you keep feeding that, you keep contemplating that, you keep considering that, then that begins to grow, and that becomes your strongest belief, where you speak and you say, I'm always okay. I don't care who hears it, who knows it, I'm always okay. I'm always okay, no matter what. So stop feeding the giant. How do you think the giant got so big? Because somebody was feeding the guy.
Don't point at me.
Somebody was feeding.
Yeah.
It's like when the cat shows up at the house.
Okay,
Right. For
somebody's
the first
feeding
time.
it, yeah.
And Leah says, oh, the little kitty. It won't hurt to give him a little bit of tuna, I'm sure. It's fine. What happens with the cat? He goes, ooh, I got one. And the cat comes back every day at that time. Meow, rubs around your leg. Meow, I love you, Leah. And Leah says, oh. All right? You keep feeding it. You keep feeding it. And what happens? The cat grows. You know? The giants grow. Whatever you feed grows. Whatever you don't feed will dissolve, disappear,
Okay.
and go away. I'm just using the cat as
I know, but let's don't equate the cats to giants as being something negative.
I didn't say
So,
that.
Let me put this. So in
Can
the,
we argue about this
No.
later?
So we're not going to argue about it. In the story of David and Goliath, the thing that David was feeding, much like those cats, the thing that David was feeding was he would be sent to the front lines to report back on his brothers often. And every time he would come, he would hear stories about whoever took Goliath on and defeated him was going to wind up with land and was going to wind up with riches and was going to marry the princess.
And become king.
And he began nurturing that. And every time he would go to the front line, oh, you mean there's riches and there's land and I get to marry the princess and be king? And those were his cats. That's what I'm saying. Those were his cats. That's what he began nurturing. That's what he began giving his attention to, so that by the time the end of that, he was ready to take on that Goliath because he saw something bigger and greater and more beneficial to his life.
Yeah, because you need a focus. You can't just stop thinking about something. I'm really trying to stop thinking about fear because I don't like fear. Fear is not good. Because when I think about fear, I think about people hurting me. I think about this. No.
Yeah.
Right? It's you withdraw your powerful attention away from those old thought forms and patterns, and you focus on new and creative energy. What can I do in a creative way now? How can I change my focus, change what I'm thinking about?
So those members of the army would come up to that ravine and they would see Goliath and they'd go running off, right? Because they were looking at the big scary thing. And David, by the time he came up to Goliath, he was seeing the land and the money and the princess and being king.
Right, yeah, he had a goal.
He wasn't seeing the scary thing.
That's right, yeah.
He had
was
a vision.
focused on something else other than the big scary giant.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I know the giant can be scary. Mm-hmm. The giant is scary, right?
But he wasn't going and looking the giant in the face every day. He was building his new way of thinking. He was envisioning, he was creating in his mind the life that he wanted. He was identifying the new thought forms that he wanted. And that's what he brought.
So we're going to do a reset now.
Yeah. All right.
You ready to do a reset? You ready for reset? We're going to turn the lights down because we like to create a little bit of a mood, a little bit of an ambiance. So you can just be more aware of what's happening on the inside and not concerned about what people looking at you or what are they thinking or wonder what's going on with them, One of the most important things in my life is peace. Peace is my reset. Peace is my reset. When I can get back to peace, that centered space within myself, and I let everything else go, I detach and release. And let go. Sweet peace. Sweet peace. Sweet peace. There is sweet peace. Sweet peace. Sweet peace. Sweet peace. There is sweet, and I've got sweet So right now, taking a good cleansing breath. Just find yourself breathing gently, easily now. No more struggling. Letting go of resistance. And focusing on that beautiful space of peace inside. When you finally just let go, all there is space. And a peaceful, easy feeling. That's your true set point, is peace. Whenever you find yourself out of sorts, here's where you want to go. Focus on the peace of God that passes human understanding. I look at my life and I think, how in the world can I be at peace? So much going on. But it doesn't matter what's happening on the outside. What's really important is what's happening on the inside. How do you feel right here, right now? And so in this moment, I forgive myself for making myself afraid and for worrying. It's a habit. I've done it for a long, long time. But now I let it go. I forgive. I release. I accept the peace of God. I forgive myself. And I forgive you. I forgive you. I release you into divine hands and trust that Spirit is working with you in whatever way you need it. Just like sitting on the bank of a river and watching the streams, watching the water as it just flows over the rocks, smoothing out the stones, smoothing out those rough places in your mind, soothing those hurt places. And just accepting yourself as you are right now. It's all okay. It's all okay. I will always be just fine. Maybe that's a new belief for some. Just keep speaking it. Speak. Speak it as if it's true for you, and it will be. Because you are the decider. You're the selector. You're the creator. You're the chooser, the choice maker. The power is in your hands. So now we focus on peace. And we feel ourselves resetting back to our original function. We've been defragged. We're healing those bad viruses, those scams, those trouble points, those spaces and places in our lives. I'm at peace now with myself. I'm at peace with you. I love you. I'm compassionate. I am patient. I am understanding. So connect with these beautiful energies and watch as things begin to change in your life. Some things start to fall away. You'll be tempted to try to hang on to them because it's comfortable. Even in our misery, sometimes we're comfortable with it. But just see if you can let it go. In moments, Let those moments change to minutes. Those minutes change to hours and days and years. Transformation. If you know of someone that could use a reset in their life, I invite you to bring them to your awareness now. Maybe there's a specific person. I want you to imagine a beautiful golden ball of energy in your heart. Peaceful, quiet, healing, accepting, caring energy. And then imagine yourself handing this ball of light to your friends. I love you. I give you this peace, this reset for your life. And I envision you whole and well. And so now, for just a moment, I invite you to just wait in the silence. Be present. Be here now.
The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. All is well. All is well.
All right. Let's reach and stretch. Feeling good, feeling alert and awake. Feels good. Feels good. Thanks for that xylophone this morning. That's beautiful.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Munoz. It's my joy to serve as your platform assistant this morning. It's wonderful to be here in peace, in your peace as well. So we want you to know about the activities that happen during the week between the services. We always have a lot going on. This Wednesday at 6:30 is going to be our monthly game night. So come on back Wednesday night for some fun, some fellowship and socializing. You can bring your favorite game and a snack to share if you'd like, or the church has games. So it can just be a wonderful reset for the middle of your week in a fun way. And, excuse me. If you'd like to find out about anything else that's happening during the week, the other activities and classes, some are in person, some are online, just go to the website. They're all listed on the events page and the calendar, and you can see all the times and the different formats right there. Do we have anyone who's here today for the first time visiting our church? We wanted to welcome you. Wonderful. Thank you for acknowledging that. We're so glad that you're here. We really appreciate you being with us this Sunday, and we hope that you received a welcome packet, but if not, help yourself. They're on the back table. There's a connection card inside if you'd like to share your contact information with us so we can stay in touch with you and answer any questions and make you feel even more welcome. We'd love to do that. There's a box in the back it's got a little slot in it. You can just put the card in there and we'll reach out to you during the week. Thank you. Awesome. And if you're here for the first time online, same thing for you as well. We're so thankful and appreciative, and just reach out to us. We'd love to stay in touch with you. We have two fantastic prayer chaplains here ready to serve you today. Lori's here and Jean is here, and they would love to support you in prayer after the service. So just meet with them on this side of the church following the service. They are here to pray with you. And let's give a big round of applause for all the volunteers. I think we should do a special thanks too for the volunteers that helped on Friday. This place has just been a beehive all weekend. There were special volunteers here Saturday as well, working on the gardens and the grounds. So can we take a moment to thank and show our appreciation for all the volunteers? We appreciate you. Thank you. And that's it. Back to you, James.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, we're going to take this opportunity now to receive an offering, and it goes to support the finances go to support the mission and vision of our community. Giving back to where you are fed and nourished is the greatest thing you can do to change yourself and the world. What did we learn today? We learned how to deal with the Goliaths in our lives, right? We learned how to reset. Isn't that great? Go back to the factory settings. Start fresh and new. It's beautiful. So isn't this a message that the whole world should be hearing about? Don't you think? Well, your support helps to make that happen. So thank you for first timer. Thank you for being here. We look forward to seeing you a second and third time, if you so choose. But that's right. Those that are watching online, if you'd like to give, you can go to the website, unitychurchofgreenville.org, and you can make a donation there. And we thank you to all of you that out there, in here, everywhere, who support us in a consistent way, because that is what makes all the difference. And we really appreciate it. So let's say together, I matter, and I make a difference. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all I receive, and all that I am. Yeah. Jeff has got some music for us. He's going to be playing now. All right, thank you. Beautiful. Hey, coming up in a couple of weeks, for 2 Wednesday nights in a row, we're going to be doing something called a metaphysics discussion that will be done online and here in person. And so what we're going to do is we're going to deal with anything that people have questions about. Maybe there's a hard saying in scriptures, or maybe there's something that you've heard you say, I don't know about that. And so we will talk about it and hopefully get to the root of it. So I know that people have questions. You know, the mind is a big question mark. So what we want to do is take that crooked little question mark and turn it into an exclamation point. All right? So we invite you to join with us 2 Wednesday nights in a row. Not this coming Wednesday, but the next Wednesday for 2 weeks. And yes? Yes? See, this is what happens.
Doesn't Jeff have his drumming the last Wednesday, so you can't do 2 weeks in a row?
Oh, is that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, are we already there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, it will be one.
You can do another one in
We'll do another one in April. If you guys like it and you enjoy it, we'll do another one in April. So I stand corrected. How many know it's okay? Humility is something we all need, right? And so that's why we have a board here. That is their responsibility. Hey, Susan Camp, come on down. It's time for you to play. It's time for you to tell us about what's going on in the world of our quilt projects.
Right. Hi, everyone. For those that don't know me, my name's Susan Tower Camp, and I was privileged enough to receive divine inspiration for our quilt project. And I don't know about you, but I have tulips in my yard, and there's daffodils blooming, and azaleas, and we have snowflakes on our quilt. And it's about time that we change that up. So we are ready for a spring quilt. And if we could show what that divine inspiration looks like. We are looking to put those panels up in the next couple of weeks. Our panels we're hoping to put up will cost about $325, which is much cheaper this time. There's our quilt. We've chosen the word grace. The beauty of that is that can be our spring quilt next year, and we can change out the words if we want to. So it has the ability to be flexible. So in the summer, we'll look to change again. Do you start to see a theme here? And we're going to do something completely different in the summertime. It's going to just so you can understand where we can go with this quilt. It's such an unlimited fun place to play. And we're starting to really get a notice on what that could be. So if you are so inspired, if you would like to donate to our quilt fund, because it's not just this quilt, but it's the next one coming up as well. If you could fill out an envelope and put that in our box as you leave, we would greatly appreciate it. And thank you for the support.
Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. All right. It's very unique and it's wonderful. You know, there's nothing, you know, unity is like a quilt, you know, a warm quilt, a warm hug, you know, and that's what I think of. And grace, wow, what a great word. And it's springtime, it's time of renewing and the energy, you know, is changing. And so anyway, thank you. If you would like to help us and just put it in the box in the back, we really appreciate it. So thanks for being here today. Let's all stand together. Let's say our affirmation. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is a well. Yes. All right. Thank you.